Sage, the sacred herb, the spiritual cleanser. Walk into any wellness shop, scroll through any holistic health feed, and you'll see it everywhere, burning in bundles, steeped in teas, packaged as the ultimate tool for purification. For centuries, sage has been revered, medicinal, mystical, and pure. But what if I told you that behind that white smoke lies toxicity, cultural theft, environmental collapse, and a hallucinogenic cousin that can fracture your reality? Let's start with your body. Because that healing herb you're drinking or burning, it contains something most people have never heard of. Thujone, a compound found in high concentrations in common sage, Salvia officinalis, the kind you buy at the grocery store, the kind you brew into tea. Now, in small amounts, Thujone is harmless. But here's what the wellness blogs don't mention. Thujone is a neurotoxin. In high doses, it can trigger seizures, muscle spasms, restlessness, dizziness, and even kidney or liver stress. The European Union actually limits Thujone levels in food and beverages for this exact reason. But here's the problem. There's no regulation on herbal teas in many countries. That's sage tea you're drinking every morning for inflammation. You could be consuming far more Thujone than is safe, especially if you're brewing it strong, drinking it daily, or combining it with other herbs. And it gets worse for certain people. Pregnant women are often told sage is natural and safe. But high doses of Thujone can stimulate uterine contractions, potentially triggering early labor or miscarriage. It's why herbalists who actually know their craft warn against sage during pregnancy. Then, there are the interactions. Sage can lower blood sugar, great if you're trying to manage diabetes, dangerous if you're already on medication and your levels drop too far. It can also affect blood pressure medications, sedatives, and anticonvulsants. So you're self-medicating with an unregulated herb that could be interfering with your prescriptions. And because it's natural, no one thinks to mention it to their doctor. Sage cleanses your space, but too much can poison your body. Now let's talk about the other kind of sage. White sage, Salvia apiana. This is the sage you see bundled and sold as smudge sticks, the one everyone burns to cleanse energy and purify their home. But here's what most people don't know. Smudging with white sage is not a universal spiritual practice. It's a sacred ritual belonging to specific indigenous peoples of North America, the Chumash, Cahuilla, Tongva, Lakota, and others. For these communities, white sage isn't just a plant. It's medicine. It's prayer. It's ceremony passed down through generations. And when non-indigenous people buy mass-produced sage bundles from Amazon or Urban Outfitters, they're participating in cultural appropriation, taking a sacred practice, stripping it of its context, and turning it into a commodity. And it's not just about respect. It's about survival. Wild white sage grows primarily in Southern California and Baja California. And due to overharvesting, much of it illegal, the plant is now threatened in many areas. Poachers enter protected lands, rip up entire plants by the roots, and sell them to wholesalers who package them as sustainably sourced spiritual tools. In 2018, the U.S. Forest Service began cracking down on commercial sage poaching. But by then, the damage was done. Wild populations had already plummeted. So when you light that smudge stick, you're not just participating in cultural appropriation, you're contributing to the extinction of the very plant you claim to honor. The herb of purification has a dirty secret: exploitation and theft. Okay, let's say you're still burning sage. Maybe you grew it yourself. Maybe you sourced it ethically. You're doing it to purify the air, right? To cleanse your space of negative energy, bacteria, toxins. But here's the irony. Burning sage might actually be making your air quality worse. When you burn any plant material, sage, incense, candles, you release fine particulate matter known as PM 2.5. These are tiny particles, smaller than 2.5 micrometers, that can penetrate deep into your lungs and even enter your bloodstream. Studies have shown that burning sage indoors produces levels of PM 2.5 comparable to secondhand smoke or urban air pollution. For people with asthma, allergies, or respiratory conditions, this can trigger coughing, wheezing, shortness of breath, or even asthma attacks. And it's not just particulates. Burning sage also releases volatile organic compounds, VCs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, some of which are the same compounds found in car exhaust and cigarette smoke. Now, does this mean one smudge stick will kill you? No. But if you're burning sage regularly in small, poorly ventilated spaces like apartments, bedrooms, or offices, you're chronically exposing yourself to indoor air pollution. You burn sage to purify your home, but you're actually filling it with toxins. Now, let's talk about sage's shadow sibling, the one that doesn't heal. It transports. Salvia divinorum, also called diviner's sage or magic mint. It grows in the cloud forests of Oaxaca, Mexico, and has been used for centuries by the Mazatec people in shamanic healing rituals. But unlike culinary sage or white sage, this plant contains salvinorin A, one of the most potent naturally occurring hallucinogens on Earth. When smoked or chewed, salvinorin A binds to kappa opioid receptors in the brain, creating intense, reality-warping experiences. Users report feeling like they've left their body, merged with objects, traveled through time, or ceased to exist entirely. These trips last only 5 to 15 minutes, but they can feel like hours. And for some people, they're terrifying. Panic attacks, disorientation, loss of motor control. Some users describe it as the most disturbing experience of their lives. Because of this, Salvia divinorum is now banned or controlled in over 30 countries, including Australia, Canada, and many US states. But it's still legal in others sold online, in head shops, marketed as a legal high. So when you hear the word sage, remember, it's not just one plant. It's a family that spans from your kitchen spice rack to sacred ceremony to psychedelic oblivion. From ancient wisdom to modern hallucinations, not all sage is sacred. So why isn't any of this common knowledge? Why aren't warning labels on sage tea? Why are smudge sticks sold at checkout counters next to the candy? Because the wellness industry is a $4.5 trillion global market, and it thrives on mystique, not regulation. Herbal supplements, spiritual tools, and natural remedies aren't held to the same standards as pharmaceuticals. No FDA approval required. No dosage limits. No ingredient transparency. Just a label that says natural, and that's enough for most people. Because we've been conditioned to believe that natural equals safe. But arsenic is natural. Poison ivy is natural. Salvia divinorum is natural. The wellness industry made billions selling sage as pure, sacred, and harmless, but they left out the fine print. So does this mean you should never use sage again? No. It means you should use it wisely. If you drink sage tea, use it occasionally, not daily. Keep doses small. And if you're pregnant, on medication, or have a medical condition, talk to your doctor first. If you burn sage, open windows. Ventilate well. Avoid burning in small spaces or around people with respiratory issues. If you use white sage, buy only from Indigenous-owned businesses, or better yet, use alternatives like rosemary, bay leaf, or garden sage grown in your own backyard. And if you're drawn to smoke-free cleansing, try sound, intention, or simply opening your windows and letting fresh air do the work. Sage isn't evil. But like anything powerful, medicine, ritual, tradition, it has a shadow side. And now you know what's really burning. Stay happy, stay healthy, and if you learned something new today, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more plant wisdom, and I'll see you in the next one.